So we're going to take a look now at drawing 19. This is one of the more difficult ones, and it's going to be worth taking a look at how we can figure out what it looks like. So taking a look at this together, let's ignore for a moment these little stripes over here. We can see that there is a square, 3 by 3, and a larger square. And that's going to form the basis of how we draw this. And so when we're looking at this, that's where we're going to get started. We're going to start off by just taking a look at the guidelines you would use if you were drawing this. So going between front and top is easy. Going between front and side is easy. So I can see the guidelines connecting between this blue line for depth and the red line for height. And then on the outside, I can see this. So these two outer lines line up with this. These two inner lines line up with this. Now going from the top, I can see these two basically match. And that's because if you turn around 9 degrees, it looks exactly the same. Now what can get a little tricky is when we go to look at how the top view and the side view match up. Now we can tell that that this square is this square. Sorry, this is my head. So we can tell that this square lines up with this line. We have our guidelines, and we can see how we have this shared green line right here. Now to track how the top view and the side view match, right now that's a little less important because the side view and the front view are the same, but sometimes it's going to matter a lot more. So to get your guideline in the front view, what you would do is you would start in the bottom left corner and draw a 45-degree angle line. Remember, a 45-degree angle is a line that goes, so 45-degree angle goes up and over equal amounts, which is really easy to draw on graph paper because all you're doing is going from one corner to the opposite corner of the graph paper. And you should use a straight edge to do that. But now what you can do is to take a guideline over from here, you come out to this line and then come down. And so I can see that this line right here lines up with this corner right here. This line right here comes out, comes down, lines up over here, and so on. And we're going to take a look at that again when we come back for the angles. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by looking at the overall shape. So I can see a 5-unit square. Sorry, I'll move this down a bit. So I can see that there is a 5 by 5 square. I can see that the edges line up with this base. And so what we find is that this is a 5-unit, so it's 2 units tall, it's 5 units long, and it's 5 units deep. So we could draw a box. Now I'm going to draw this in pencil because there's going to be a bunch of lines to erase. So I'm going to come in here, draw a line 2 units of height. So let's say I'm drawing this line. I'm going to draw this line, so we come to the left by 5 units. Remember, that's going to be the left side of the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I come back up 2 units. Now this green line right here, I go to the right 2 units. So that's the first side of my base. I come over here, and you can see that this line is a shared one. These are the front and side view. They'll have that shared edge right here. And its height, because that's the only dimension the front and the side view share. Coming over from here, we go back 5 units. And we go up 2. Now to get the top of this, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go over. So that's what the base would be. And I am going to color in part of it, because part of it I already know I'm not going to have to erase. So height, height, and height. And so you can see this shared edge right here is this edge, and it's also this edge. And the two pieces basically swing around and fold up to make the box. So length and length. I know these lines are not going anywhere. Now I'm going to draw these two lines from depth. So once again, 5 units. And 5 units. Alright, so there's the base. Now the next part of this I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with this square, the 3 by 3 square. When I look at this 3 by 3 square, I can see this front edge right here. You can see the side edge right here. And so I can see that it's 3 units above the base. And so I'm going to have a 3 by 3 square, and it's going to be 3 units tall. So that's going to be a cube, 3 by 3 by 3. And what you would do is the easiest way to do that is to start drawing a square. Now, for you, it might help to draw the entire square and then draw the edges coming up. For me, what I'm going to do, give me 1 second, please. Pause my recording. All right, and I am back. Give me 1 second. All right, so I am back. So what I would do is, if I were a student still getting the hang of drawing this, I would probably come in with a pencil, and now 1, 2, 3, go up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so that gives you the edges of your cube. Come in like this. Come in like this. Now for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the colors now, because I already know which lines I can count on. What's it called? Actually, I'm not going to keep a whole lot of them. But what'll happen, I'm going to do just a little bit in the corner to indicate what's going on. So up here, I do know it's going to be 1 and 1. Actually, on the top, it's not an issue. So on the top, I'm just going to draw the entire line. So these lines right here are these lines in this square. Now in terms of the height, I'm going to draw on this side. Yeah? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I'm going to color in part of these lines just so you can see what's happening. I'm going to come down in height, and this is going to come down in height. So we have most of a cube, but I'm leaving some of this blank because there is going to be a little bit that's going to get covered up. But that's the overall shape. If we didn't have these stripy bits and these triangles, then you would be done once you finish darkening in those lines. However, there is a little more to this. And so to get these triangles, let's take a look at what's going on here. So in the top, we see these rectangles. What I want to remind you of is when you see an angle, that angle experience something that we would refer to as foreshortening. If you're into art, this is something you're already familiar with. And so what will happen is, let's say we have a rectangle of some sort. I will be right back on camera. So this piece of wood has some amount of length. So right now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It's 16 boxes long. Now what would happen is, if we're looking at it from the side, it's just a rectangle. But if we were to start angling this, what will happen is when we see it from above, as I angle it up, it's going to essentially take up less space in this direction. So now, looking at it from above, it's 1, 2, 3. It looks like it's about 8 or 9 units long, even though the piece of wood hasn't gotten any shorter. What will happen now is before, so if this is length, and this is height, actually I'll turn this over. So we'll say we have, just like we've been doing, we have length, and we have height. Right now, if we assume this doesn't have any thickness, it's 16 units long and 0 units tall. But as I angle this up, now when I get to about here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 units long, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 units tall. And so that's exactly what's happening here. So I have this shape right here. Now in the front and side views, I can see that it's a triangle. And I can also see, using all these views, that it's in the middle. And so what will happen is, if I come into the front view, what will happen is, let's start with this one. So you can see it's in the center. So I'm going to make a mark right here and a mark right here. And then it gets down here and it's still in the center. So I'm going to make a mark right here and right here. Now to draw the angle, I'm just going to connect between those. And I would recommend use a straight edge. But when I do that, I get this angle. And now from here to here, I can show the edge where it connects to the block that sticks up, and the edge where it connects to the base. So those edges are going to be along your normal axes, so height and depth. And this is going to be changing in both height, which is vertical, and depth, which is the right side of the Y. And so what I would do is I would color this in with red. Now this also has red. And I would color it in with blue. So this also has blue. And that gives me one of those triangles. Now over here, I can do the same thing. So I can mark it center and center. Center and center. Connect between them. Connect and connect. Draw where the edges meet. And from here, I've got green, and this has green to it. I have red. And this also has some red to it. I'm going to fill in that red. Me too. And that blue. And that's the end of that shape. The other two triangles you wouldn't see because they would be hidden behind the block. And so once you erase it, that is the end of drawing 19. Or not quite. Once you erase it, you find that you forgot a couple of lines. And now it's the end of drawing 19.